When the spent sun throws up its rays on cloud and goes down burning into the gulf below, no voice in nature is heard to cry aloud at what has happened. Birds, at least, must know it is the change to darkness in the sky, murmuring something quiet in its beast. One bird begins to close a faded eye, or overtaken too far from its nest, purring low above the groove. Some wharf swoops just in time to his remembered tree. At most, he thinks, or twitters softly, "Safe! Now, let the night be dark for all of me. Let the night be too dark for me to see into the future. Let what will be." This is the Oligarchy podcast. I'm your host, Tim McClone. That's a poem by Robert Frost called Acceptance. You got to throw in a little Robert Frost, born March 26, 1874, in the lovely, clean city of San Francisco. I read a lot of his poetry. He did a lot of poems, including like his New Hampshire collection. Some like a poem with notes and grace notes. A company he was with in 1923. And then he was with a company in 1936. And he won 2 of 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry that Frost would win in his lifetime. He died January 29th, 1963. So, it's just an interesting, when I was going through my poems, as I indicated in the past, I like to memorize a poem once a week. Helps with your memory and recall for anything in life. And, this poem, acceptance, it deals entirely with the balance of trust and mistrust. That's what we got going on right now in your personal life and professional life and politics. Well, we all know all politicians lie, but you got to sift through it and think between the lines, see where some of the reality is. But when you look at the tone of this poem, it's much darker than other poems about, ironic acceptance. So I just love how he's a word genius and how he puts it together, and it makes you think. And just like anything, when you read it over and over, you think about it differently and deeper. Acceptance. That line about the bird accepts only because it can do nothing else. Its safety is a night-by-night struggle, and its only defense against overwhelming fear is acceptance of its predicament. It's a night-by-night struggle, baby. Like I've always said, I relate to these poems because every day you get out of bed, may have recovered a little bit from your night's sleep, but you're going to get punched in the face every day. You just got to be ready for it, man. That's what life's all about. So here are again. It's been a while. Been a while for all this stuff, but I just been traveling, buying, working, making moves, and had a lot of classwork to do as well for some stuff I'm doing. So Mac Oligarchy podcasts and videos have taken a pause, so to speak. A lot to talk about. I know we talk about business, entrepreneurship, little health and fitness. We have to talk about the politics because it affects business. A lot of people are talking about that now. I do find it fascinating. I usually follow it covertly, but it needs to be talked about because this is going to be a game changer for business, in my opinion, this election. And it's clear, both sides, there's a uniparty at the top. I've always said that. But when both sides attack one candidate, and the way they're going after RFK, the way they're going after Donald Trump, what does that tell you? Both sides. At the top, Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, they used to play tennis together. They all hang out at each other's houses. Bunch of phonies, I'm telling you. So the quote of the day. I just learned this the hard way. Okay, just recently on the road. I learned this the hard way in a deal I was doing. Be careful with whom you share good news with. Why do I say that? And I heard this a long time ago, and I usually write these quotes down, and I have a few of them on my desk, and I renew it every week to 2 weeks. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you want to share good news with people that will be genuinely happy for you. And let me just state a one fact: most won't be happy if you got good news. And I like to keep good news and be quiet to myself. And I kind of splurted out something, and it went the other direction. And I sort of respected this individual, but I wasn't bragging. I wasn't being bombastic or boisterous. I was just stating some good news and how it could benefit other people, and maybe including this individual. And jealousy's a bitch, in my opinion. I love to see people's success. Yes, early on, everyone's got that jealous bone a little bit. You say to yourself, God, I wish that would have happened or to me or whatever. But I'm generally happy for people. Uh, and in what I learn, and I learn something from every situation, I'm generally happy when some people give me good news, man. And you got to keep the positive vibes out there. So remember that. Be careful who you share that with. There's a lot of evil assholes out there and mean people. And quote of the day number 2. This one comes home to heart, but I'll say it right now. I'll just read it. It's in my head. I remember this one because someone told me this a long time ago. A counselor, he said, Tim, winning an argument is never more important than preserving the relationship. Now, if I don't give a shit about preserving the relationship, hey, I'm going to state my opinion in a nice, methodical way. I will admit, around family, we get a little passionate, but I can do that around family. I can't do that around people. Other people. I have to be hidden. I have to be quiet. I have to nod my head. So if you can't take it, leave the room. But we have a lot of sensitive people out there, even in families. Look what happened with COVID, how it broke up a lot of families. No one can agree to disagree anymore. Problem I have with people is when I know they're not listening to the points I'm trying to make. And I'm doing it in a nice way, and I'm trying. But you see when they look away, or they, some people are looking down or whatever because they're taking in what you say. But if you've been around a while, you can tell when people kind of want to say what they want to say or not even thinking about what you're saying. So you may have to increase your voice, your tone. You may have to pause. But winning an argument is never more important than preserving the relationship. I kid around, but overall, I do believe that. And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, it's not worth it. And you're never going to change anyone's opinion, whether it's a business situation or whatever. I just had someone, I told them to do a second home in Montana or Nevada for tax purposes. And I went through the whole thing and I wrote it out in a nice email. Actually, I have that file archived, the why you should do it. This individual, has some properties and needs a lower tax state because of the things he's doing, in my opinion. But he didn't see the forest through the trees. But what happened is he needed more confirmation from an attorney. And granted, I sent him information from an attorney in the family, but he sat on that information. And he just needed some more confirmation, but he wished he would have moved sooner than he did. And he did call me back and said, I should have just listened to you. Like I said, hey, I provided the information. That's okay. You're an analytic. You sat on it. But it took a long time. But the thing is, he lost some things in between then. And it could have made some more money because he missed the window with tax season. So all we can do is try. But, I say make your points, go for your argument. But it's an important relationship to you. It's not worth it. So, ladies and gentlemen, some interesting things happen. We're gonna start with some political stuff because it's important right now. And I think I am a fan of RFK. I met him at the gym. I talked to him for a while personally. We actually exchanged numbers. He's a busy man. He said he would come on the show here, and he was booked up solid. I met with his assistant. But I don't agree with everything anyone says, but it's really surprising to me how this guy's family has gone after him. And if you look at the party of JFK, the Democratic Party is not the party that it was. And his family attacked him, and they know they can see that, but they're all about power and wanting to be at the cocktail parties with the current, I guess, Democratic Party and want to be in their good graces, the power structure. But it's not the party of JFK anymore. I'm a Kennedy Democrat. I'm a libertarian right now. But JFK had his issues, but, he loved the flag. He loved the country. Democratic Party, I don't see that right now. And I think his speech was epic. You want to talk about an authentic, real speech. Watch RFK's speech. CNN cut it off, which is pathetic. No teleprompter, just speaking from the heart. And you can see it. And what he said We have to love our children more than we hate each other. So you hate him because he wants to end wars, right? You hate him because he wants to end censorship. You hate him because he wants to make America healthy again. That's what he basically said. He doesn't agree with everything what Mr. Trump says, but he's been talking about that. I mean, if you read his books, I read all three. I think Vax, Unvax, it's based on hundreds of studies. The real Anthony Fauci and the Wahoo Lab cover-up, his third book. But the real Anthony Fauci and these books are all footnoted. And I'll tell you, no one had him on a show like CNN to go through that book because it was hundreds of studies documented. And this guy's been talking about this stuff, and we are the most unhealthy country. All the seed oils, all the things people eat, the obesity of our population, the unhealthiness of our population. But a lot of people have done talks on it, and there's a guy who talked about Ozempic. I did a talk on Ozempic. Not a fan. I think in certain cases it's okay, but the side effects far outweigh the benefits to that drug. But the society and our country, they want to put you on a drug. That's it. And they make more money putting you in drugs. As you guys know, I worked in the drug business for 8 years, and I still consult right now. It's one of my jobs. I do consulting and in the drug business. And it's a racket. It's all about the money. They don't want you healthy. They want you sick because they don't make money if you're healthy. So you got to go above and beyond to be healthy. And what RFK is talking about is our population's out of control. We're an unhealthy population. And look what happened to this kid who just got censored. With Telegram. They're going to come after TikTok. They're doing that. They're going to come after Elon Musk next. Then they're going to come after Rumble. I mean, I believe in talking about making America healthy and changing the lunch programs and the food that we give our children in schools. And I don't believe in censorship. It's pretty scary. I don't believe in that. So what a beautiful line. We have to love our children more than we hate each other. And there is a lot of hate going around right now, but we have 40% of Americans that don't read. We have a low information voter right now, and we all have to know about Cloward and Pivot. Cloward and Pivot, divide and conquer. And if everyone got along, then it wouldn't work out for the powers to be. And they want everyone fighting, and one side likes to talk about the race card because that's all they got. That's all they got, ladies and gentlemen. So I would lead into this. Mice die in mouse traps because they do not understand why cheese is free. You get it? The same thing happens with socialism, ladies and gentlemen. If it's free, it's too good to be true, and socialism does not work. So I thought it was interesting. A CNN analyst spoke some truth for once. CNN, they've had to revamp their whole programming. They fired everyone because their viewership is low. They're going to go back to Shark Week and documentaries probably. This CNN analyst, and he made an interesting point, and everyone's jaw just dropped, and they all just shut up and listened because they didn't know what to say. He said Democrats have controlled the White House for 12 of the last 16 years, and somehow it's still all Trump's fault. Liberal Network and Liberal Network host also admits Trump probably wins if the election is only about policy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say that again. The Democrats have controlled the White House for 12 of the last 16 years. Look at the spending during those 12 years. Look at what's gotten done. Nothing. Okay? So it's, we're almost 4 years into Joe Biden and co-president Kamala Harris. Joe Biden called her the co-president, the border czar. She did say she was the border czar. She hasn't been to Europe. She hasn't been to the border. But now she wants to say that, hey, this is new and I'm going to fix all these problems. She could fix them right now. Do you see how they're trying to pull the wool over their eyes? And I know some people, will just vote based on someone's plumbing, that they're a certain color, that they have a certain genitalia. They don't care about the policy or issues. We're going to vote for the first black woman, and she has a vagina. Fabulous. So remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Democrats have controlled everything for 12 of the last 16 years. How are you doing under Trump? The left-wing New York Times is warning Democrats. The left wing, the New York Times, in an article, they're warning Democrats that joy. Remember, folks, The theme of the Democratic convention was joy, joy, joy. Ladies and gentlemen, joy is not a strategy. It is not a strategy. Joy is not a political strategy. That will not win elections. That is from the New York Times, not Oligarchy, baby. So I have to comment on this because I am from the Midwest, Chicago. And, you know, the Obamas are worth about 70 million, really more, off his book deal. Now, Obama never had a real job. Okay. So, you know, Obama was a community organizer in my home state of Illinois, in Chicago. He never had any foreign affairs experience. Remember when Trump ran in 16, we said Trump doesn't have any foreign affairs experience. But see, Trump was a global real estate professional who did meet with world leaders as a real estate professional, by the way, and travel over the world. He also gave to the Democratic and Republican Party because if you remember, he said, I'm a businessman. So he was immersed in politics and also foreign affairs to an extent, meeting with leaders of other countries for real estate deals. But Obama had no experience. So the bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, being a good leader is surrounding yourself with good people. When you get into the presidency, you got a lot of people around with you. And it's about putting the right people around you as well. So when both sides say that, it's a bunch of bullshit. But Obama had no foreign affairs experience and he became president. Okay? And the world didn't blow up. Sort of, you know, Obama did say he was really good at killing people. You know, so what I find astonishing, though, is Obamas are worth 70 plus million. And Oprah Winfrey is almost worth $3 billion. And they're lecturing you. Hey, watch out for those rich people, you know? So the Obamas, they own a house in Washington, D.C. for $8.1 million. Martha's Vineyard for about $12 million. I did a talk on that house. It's only 50 feet from the water. And Obama told you to get rid of your air conditioner in Africa and watch out for those sea level increases. Unfortunately, the sea level really hasn't gone up. And the polar bears have increased. They haven't died, Al Gore. And so that, you know, Martha's Vineyard house is 50 feet from the water. He's got a house in Hawaii. It's on the beach, by the way. That's about, a Hawaii house is about $9 million. And he's got a Chicago home he bought for 1.65. Sell that Chicago home. The taxes are too high in Chicago. Chicago has the second highest property taxes in the country. It's a dog shit state. Get out of there. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's just the hypocrisy is disgusting. They're going to lecture you. And we got a billionaire here. Oprah Winfrey's got a $75 million house in Montecito. And, you know, outside Santa Barbara. So right now, if you look what's going on in the corporate world, DEI is losing steam. A lot of companies are going away from it. They lost Roe v. Wade. Was the right decision if you follow the Constitution. But we know we have a low information voter out there, and they actually thought abortion went away. It just went back to the states where it should go. And all the liberal states got more liberal. If you want to have an abortion after a baby's born, you said, you know, I don't want that baby. You can kill it. Fabulous. And some red states got a little more strict. But overall, you can still get an abortion and it ain't going anywhere, you fucking morons. But they lost Roe v. Wade. And they lost the Chevron decision, if you remember. They're losing the two-way infringements right now. And, you know, they're losing their censorship control on social media. But they are pushing really hard. Look what's going on with Telegram and you know, the European Union is just making stuff up about people and putting people in jail for 20 years. So right now they are losing full control of the media narrative. You're kind of seeing some global media speak a little truth because they know it's so ridiculous. They're just really lost right now. No one should be censored. But the powers to be, especially in the EU, want to control the narrative. But it's really disgusting what happened to this poor kid from Telegram and other people that are speaking out about the crime. I just posted a video of a gentleman walking a baby down the street outside in Birmingham in London, and he was stabbed in the neck. And then he went back to his stroller to stroll his baby away and his dog, and then he went across the street and he passed out. I guess he's in the hospital recovering, thank God. But this is out of control because you're letting a population in that doesn't believe in democracy and humanity and human rights, and you're mixing people together. I don't want to get into this. I could talk about it. I've studied it. I've researched the hell out of it. Maybe I'll talk about it, but it gets deep into politics. But you're letting a migrant population in that believes in a rape culture and other things. And I've seen all the videos. I've been following it closely. I have friends there. It's terrifying. Here is a guy walking down the street with a baby. Got attacked, stabbed in the neck. And if you know where to find this stuff, because a lot of the mainstream media will try to cover it's happening a lot. A lot. And they're arresting British people that protest this stuff. It's incredible. So, you know, I got problems with both sides when we talk about the political arena of the United States. But I will say this. I'm a fiscally conservative guy, so I want to make more money, and I made more money under the last administration. So the reported truth is this. Trump was the only president who I can remember that raised the income of the lowest 20 percentile and moved it up relative to everyone else. That's a fact. He raised the income of the lowest 20 percentile and moved it up to the relative of everyone else. He closed the gap, ladies and gentlemen. No one else has done that. Nobody. Nobody. The Trump tax cuts, they did work. They did work, and the Democrats want to overturn them. It helped a little bit. Everyone was making money under this guy. Blacks' wages went up more under Trump than any president in U.S. history. That is a fact. It's 100% true. So right now, don't believe the media. You know where to find this. Right now, inflation is worse than it's ever been. It hasn't gone down. Real inflation. Gasoline is plus 51% under Biden, Kamala Harris. Electricity is up 32%. Airfare is up 23%. Groceries are up 22%. Rent is up 22%. Eggs are up 47%. Car insurance up 54%. And K through 12 food is up 66.2%. So since Joe Biden has been president, and now Kamala, this is recently put together, prices are up 22%, and real average weekly wages are down 3.9%. 100% true. So, I mean, call me the bad guy. I focus on policy and hard numbers. These numbers are horrible for the Biden administration. But hey, Tim, doesn't matter. It's all about joy. It's all about joy. You know, we haven't done an interview, Kamala Harris, in 19 days since announcing, you know, she's going to be president of the United States. She hasn't done an interview even with a softie like CNN or MSNBC. She's afraid she's going to say one thing wrong, which she will. She can't speak off the cuff. And the Democratic policies aren't on the Democratic website. If you're a Democrat, that doesn't concern you. You don't think everything's going to go up. Yeah, you got money. I don't have to worry about it. I'll increase my rents. But when we talk about America, and I feeling safe, making more money, and what she wants to do with the capital gains tax, she's out of her mind. So it's kind of funny because Donald Trump's campaign trolled Oprah Winfrey by sharing a complimentary letter. She actually gave him a letter back in the day, and I've talked about how he went on Oprah Winfrey, Barbara Walters, other people, and he talked about running for the president in the 80s. Well, once she sent, the billionaire TV host who used to, have midgets on her show, and who, when she got started, and she got hired by a media company as a black woman, and probably white people hired her because they saw her talent. They didn't see her color, and she became very successful. And my power, great job, Oprah. Great job. That's America. But we're so racist. We're so racist. Remember the Morgan Freeman interview on Don Lemon? That was the most authentic Don Lemon has been, because he basically said, CNN, I feel like I got to talk about race. And Morgan Freeman basically said, don't talk about race. He's like, you're a millionaire on CNN and you're black and gay, dating a white guy. And I'm black and I'm an actor. And I didn't make it till I was 54 as an actor. And, white Hollywood gave me a chance overall. They believed in my talent. And you're a product and I'm a product of this wonderful country. He said, I don't want Black History Month. That's from Morgan Freeman. He said, we're all human beings. He's like, do they have a Jewish History Month? No, they don't have a Jewish History Month. So Morgan Freeman said, I don't like Black History Month. It puts a spotlight on us. We don't need a spotlight. I made it in the 70s and I made it acting. He went through hardships. He's a wonderful story. He was an alcoholic in his 40s, and he didn't make it in his profession until he was 54. He was making good movies from his 60s to 70s. He's over 80 years old. Don Lemon is a pompous asshole, but he made it himself. That's what's wonderful about America. So, billionaire TV show, she sent the former president a letter once. And Winfrey spoke at the Democratic National Convention Wednesday night, when, if you listen to it, pleaded with people to support Vice President Kamala Harris in the race for the White House. However, nearly 25 years ago, Winfrey suggested her and Trump, this year's Republican presidential nominee, would make a great team if they both ran for office together. She said, Donald, I reviewed your book excerpt, Winfrey wrote in January 2000 note to Trump that was shared Wednesday night on X. I have to tell you, your comments made me a little weepy. It's one thing to try and live a life of integrity, still another to have people like yourself notice. Thank you. At the bottom of the letter, under her signature, Winfrey added, too bad we're not running for office. What a team. Unbelievable. What a bunch of hypocrites. Winfrey wrote the note in response to an excerpt Trump had sent her from his book, The American We Deserve. See, ladies and gentlemen, since the 80s. Here's, 2000, The America We Deserve, in which he wrote that she would be his first choice for a vice president. The campaign also shared a post with a video clip from Trump appearing on Oprah Winfrey's TV show. There you go. Donald Trump, what a racist, said, hey, Oprah, maybe you should be my VP. Donald Trump, the racist, all the rappers, when he's on The Apprentice, the #1 TV show, everyone wanted to hang out with him. His #1 project manager for all his buildings has been with him 30 plus years, is a woman. Not an outright attractive woman, by the way, if you want to say all that. Yeah, he hires more women than men. He has blacks working for him in his company. I mean, come on. It's such a joke, because if he didn't, it'd be all over the news. So the campaign also shared a post with a video clip from Trump's appearance on Winfrey's TV show. It was in 1988, talking about countries, like he said, he was talking in 1988, same as he is today, about countries ripping America off in trade, especially China. She even suggested that they may run for president someday, with an emoji, the post said. Winfrey also claims to be an independent, appeared at the DNC and told cheering crowd that this year's presidential election is a choice of values and character. Yeah, okay. And no, it's about policy. I don't care about someone's Twitter account or their hair. But Kamala Harris has said some horrible things too. What do you expect this guy to do when you call him a fascist and Hitler and you throw around the word Hitler? He's not Hitler and he's not a fascist. Not everyone deserves to come across the border. It needs to be legal immigration. It needs to be vetted. We need to bring the best of the best to America. We're $37 trillion in debt. We have potholes. We have 60% of Americans that only have $400 in a savings account. Okay, maybe we're closed. Maybe we're full right now. We have 60% of U.S. citizens only have enough for a one-time emergency. And we're saying this country's healthy and the richest country in the world. We're one of the poorest. It's a joke. She said, common sense tells us that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz will give us decency and respect. Winfrey said at the Democratic National Convention. Wow. Okay. I love how they all love the Constitution now. And they were caught on tape. Did you hear this? They were caught on tape saying, hey, we need to be moderate right now. And after we win, we can go back to our radicalness. So she said, let us choose loyalty to the Constitution over loyalty to an individual because that's best America. The only one talking about the Constitution all year around is Donald Trump. Let us choose optimism over cynicism. Okay. See, the problem that I have is everything the Democrats say the Republicans are doing. You guys know I got a problem with the Republicans too. If I put a gun to my head, it's a simple choice. The rhinos. Everything the Democrats say the Republicans are doing, they are doing. The Democrats have jailed their political opponents. The Democrats are doing censorship, and if it wasn't for what happened at Twitter and this stuff exposed, they're doing censorship. They're doing Facebook and censoring everyone. They're censoring RFK. They're censoring the new movie Reagan. They don't love God. They don't love America. They don't love the flag. If you people have studied the Constitution, it's 100 years ahead of its time. If you've never lived in Somalia, go live there. Go live in Iran. Go live in Russia. Go live in China. You don't know how good you got in here, and it could be swept away because you want to vote for someone based on the plumbing and not the policies. It's unbelievable. I mean, what a hypocrite Oprah Winfrey is. Sorry. I used to like her in the 80s. She got all the money, and she got pompous. That's what happens. Remember, it's the ordinary ones that are going to change the world, not the people after status, money, or fame. Donald Trump didn't have to do all this shit. But he said in the 80s they've been ripping us off. He could sit on the beach right now, but he does love this country because he worked in this country. He had a real job. 70% of businesses go bankrupt. So his company went bankrupt. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? I got a friend who's a billionaire from another friend. Went bankrupt. Turned it all around. That's America, baby. So she said it's the Republicans' fault, and let's blame Trump. Trump was mentioned 160 some fucking times at the Democratic convention. They only mentioned Joe Biden 3 times at the Republican convention. So we're not there to talk about the other side. We're there to talk about policy. But see, I don't understand. That's all I want to hear. I'm an analytical person, but the Democrats don't have any policy. So why would you vote for them? You know, you have a bunch of clowns who are running this country right now, and after a while you have to ask yourself, how come they have not been able to fix the problems of America? Ladies and gentlemen, it's almost 4 years under the Biden administration, and they're telling you they're in power right now. Kamala Harris is in power right now, and she's saying if she gets in as president, she'll fix it. She can do it right now. So if all these children are going hungry, what have you done about it? They've done nothing. In fact, we put illegal aliens over our children right now. So who caused the skyrocketing inflation? You did, Democrats. Who caused the border invasion? You did, Democrats. Who caused the runaway interest rates? You did, Democrats. Who have settled generation and generation now with now 36 trillion in debt? You did, Democrats. You controlled everything 12 of the last 16 years. Now, Donald Trump's administration under those ominous spending bills spent like a drunken sailor too. You guys have controlled the White House 12 of the last 16 years, my friends. So who are you kidding? Unbelievable. Kamala Harris gets in, it's going to be the same as Joe Biden, but on steroids to the left. And what about the crime wave? Who started that with all the prosecutors? You did, Democrats. And my friend got his face slit off Melrose in LA, and he'll never be the same, and he's going to have a fucking scar. Now, the party that gave us crime is suddenly going to bring down crime. That's unbelievable. The party that gave us crime is somehow magically going to bring down crime if they get into office. Tim Walz and everyone is talking about the border and how, they're going to fix it. And they're in office right now. So let me tell you something that was very telling, and even CNN and other analysts called Kamala Harris out on this bullshit. And Kamala wants price controls. And it's not because she has good intentions. The problem isn't that Harris, policy advisors don't know things about price controls. Politicians push these policies because the public doesn't understand how price controls work. And I've talked to people about this, and I'm just blown away. So I think this is important. The economic experts in the legacy media never mention the historical realities of price controls. You remember under the Nixon administration what happened after 3 months? They stopped it. Remember what happened in France with price controls? Certainly few Americans were ever taught in their government-funded schools about, Nixon. The Nixon shock, or what had happened when governments planned, the economy. So for those who bother, however, to learn about economics and economic history is to understand how the regime is ripping us off. So without this knowledge, and we have that low information voter, people don't read, they just vote on the plumbing. You have to have some knowledge and understanding of the benefits, and this is what I'm king on, of private property and free markets. And I'm a Kennedy Democrat back in the day, but the Democrats don't believe in free market or private property. So, it's easy for politicians to simply assert that their latest tax or regulation will make everything better off. And both parties are guilty of saying that. Trump does it when he calls for, higher taxes in the form of tariffs. Called out China for dumping their goods on our country. A lot of people believe it, so, the Republicans are responsible for pushing some bullshit too. But Harris is now doing the same thing with price controls. Many, will believe her and are happily support the latest government policy because it's Kamala Harris. This will further crush you with your living costs, ladies and gentlemen. So she's planning to induce price control sham, for food and groceries in America should she be elected. It's an alarming proposal to hear. As you talk to people in Venezuela. There's a Venezuelan man who experienced this rampant shortages and economic chaos of price controls in the flesh. And it was an interesting article that I read. And he said that he lived through the majority of the past 25 years of this type of disaster, known as Venezuela's socialist revolution. And he was able to flee Venezuela a couple months ago throughout the past 20 years or so. So you remember the late socialist Hugo Chavez and then his successor, Madero, that scumbag, signed off on several price controls in the same style as the Harris reported policies. Each one of them, ladies and gentlemen, was more disastrous than the last. And this gentleman's story was striking. So even the Washington Post editorial board roasts Kamala Harris for economic plan. It was an editorial piece on Friday. The Washington Post noted that Harris squandered the opportunity to announce a substantial plan. Not about joy, but she could have introduced a substantial plan to the American public. Right now, Americans overall, if she had a pulse on the American people, are anxious, they're angry about the high cost of groceries, housing. $5.29 for a Big Mac, baby. The editorial wrote about this. So it's a real political issue for Ms. Harris, and she can't dance around it. So maybe Ms. Harris, one way to handle this is, why don't you level with the voter, but you never will. Telling them that inflation spiked in 21 mainly because of the, you shut down our energy. Joe Biden shut down our energy. Yes, a little bit with the pandemic and the supply chain issues, but Joe Biden signed an executive order that shut down our independent energy. The bad Federal Reserve policies, Camilla, you could kind of throw that in there too, so you don't have to blame yourself 100%, even though you're responsible for Janet Yellen. You guys supported it though, the Federal Reserve policies, but you're working to slow it, right? But instead you opted for the easy route, blaming big business. She vowed to go after price gouging by grocery stores, landlords, and the pharmaceutical companies. Never going to happen. And go after those pharma companies. Those corporate predators, by having Federal Trade Commission enforce, federal ban on price gouging. Here's the deal. The government can barely run the post office. So they're going to buy up all the farmland, which, Bill Gates is doing and other people. But the government buys all the farmland, they buy all the grocery stores. You think you're going to see rationing of food. See, the beautiful thing is, like the way I shop, I may go to Trader Joe's for a few items that I like. And then when I want to buy in bulk, I buy like a ridiculous amount, over 100 eggs. Okay. So I go to Costco and I buy big box stuff. And then when I want some luxury meats, I go to this high-end meat store. It's not even a grocery chain. And then sometimes I go, get some meat from Costco. But see, the beautiful thing is, if I want to go to, let's say, Gelson's in the past, I would go to Trader Joe's. I like certain things from Smart and Final, but I can move around. And you can price shop a little bit. But, that's the beautiful thing about grocery stores. They're not all the same price, by the way. So, so the editorial board ripped her a new one, which, touche, good for them. Harris also vowed to build 3 million new homes. And of course, illegal aliens will get a $30,000 credit to buy a home and 0% interest, but not Americans. They'll give you a $6,000 child tax credit. The $25K down in payment assistance for first-time buyers. Unbelievable. Of course, nothing for American citizens. But you're an illegal alien, 30 grand. In addition to your sneakers and, gift card and everything else you're getting, healthcare. So that'd roughly be about $30 billion annual drain on the federal revenue that benefits mainly wealthy Americans. But she does not get it. Harris has promised to build 3 million new homes at a cost of 1.5 million homes were built in 23 alone. So, a couple outlets reported Harris' promise would actually mean construction has decreased by 50%. Bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, it's all main Democrat ideas and some Republicans, but these ideas are horrible. They'll cost money. But she insisted in her speech that she would hold to President Joe Biden's pledge not to raise taxes on any household earning $400,000 or less annually. That's not going to happen either. The editorial board added that Harris's promise to not raise taxes on families earning $400K or less each year did not include 80% of taxable income and does not take into account the recent surge in families earning over $400,000. 80% of taxable income. See what she did? See what she leaves out? Unbelievable. So they said her policies would add roughly $1.7 trillion over a decade to the federal deficit. Unbelievable. I don't know where I don't want to keep going on this stuff. You know, even Obama economist Jason Furman rips Kamala Harris' socialist-style price control policy. Jason Furman, a former economist for President Barack Obama, slammed VP Kamala Harris' price control policy as a lot of rhetoric and no reality on Thursday. He said it'd be horrible, and for her to leave with this out of the gate for her campaign, he said, was a major mistake. But don't worry, we got that mail-in balloting in those 5 states, so we can say whatever we want. Remember, Joe Biden said we have the largest voter fraud organization in America. Oh, he gets away with that. It was a Freudian slip. That's right. So Harris blamed soaring food inflation on corporations gouging customers. Her remedy entails a federal ban on gouging through socialist-style price controls. This is not sensible policy. I think it's the biggest hope is that it ends up being a lot of rhetoric and not reality, Furman told the New York Times on Thursday. There's Obama's former economist. There's no upside here. There's some downside, he added. It's terrible. So Furman was not the only high-profile lefty to attack Harris's policy. Catherine Rampell, and opinionist for the Washington Post, slammed the policy as idiotic. It's hard to exaggerate how bad this policy is. It is. In all but name a sweeping set of government-enforced price controls across every industry. Not only food, supply and demand would no longer determine price or profit levels. These she's getting hit from all sides. So it's just so what would happen is the FTC would be able to tell, for example, I know Kroger. I used to deal with them in Texas. The FTC would be able to tell, let's say, Kroger in Ohio, the acceptable price it can charge for milk. So like I said, milk might be different at Kroger in Texas, at HEB, and I'm familiar with them, and then it is, let's say, in Smart and Final in LA. That's the beautiful thing. Like, I'm going to say something I found interesting. My father has never been to a grocery store. My father, very successful man, but he's never been to a grocery. He's not a hardcore elitist, but he's just never. The first time we were in, where the hell were we? We were in, I think, up north in Santa Barbara, and I went in to get some. Sprinkled donuts or something. And I swear, I didn't know that. He's never been in, because my dad could barely turn on a microwave. Without my mom, he'd be lost. It's endearing. He can make oatmeal, and that's about it. But I thought at least the man's been in a grocery store. See, I love going to grocery stores. I love food. I love food. So, but hey, I think it's touching. He's never been in a grocery store. I love it. But my dad's old school. He'll just have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and he works his ass off. So this is just bad policy, ladies and gentlemen, all the way around. And this is what it would do. It would lead to shortages, black markets, and hoarding. It would be a dystopia from movie District 9. You'd have ration cards. You don't think it could happen? It could. There would be gas lines. I'm telling you. The legislation would ban companies from offering lower prices to big customers such as Costco, to Joe's Corner Store, which means, quantity discounts are in trouble. Worse, it would require public companies to publish detailed internal data about costs, margins, contracts, the future pricing strategies. And, here, the deal with the grocery stores, and I know this because I used to call them, is their margins are thin. They're thin. So, it's just, the companies would collude to keep prices higher, and it's all facilitated by the government. So, bottom line is, right now, ladies and gentlemen, prices under the Biden-Harris administration increased. Like I said, 20% across the board, grocery prices, 26%. That's according to the Department of Labor. But hey, we had that other lady. Did you see that interview? She's like, I don't believe in statistics from the government now. It's unbelievable. Well, ma'am, they're from the Department of Labor. It's from it's actually from the group that you run. Well, I don't believe in those statistics because Trump said that. Remember, everything Trump says is bad. It's not true. So one thing you're seeing right now, because the prices are so high and people aren't going out, let's say to McDonald's. So the fast food chains are under pressure to put the value back into the value meals right now, since the price has soared 33% since the Biden, big man Biden. So a Big Mac burger, a medium beverage, and a medium fry now costs $18, ladies and gentlemen. Some locations up $10 from 18 under the Trump ban. So when former President Trump was in office, so 87% of Americans believe the administration's policies either hurt or have no impact on inflation. So people have said that Obama behind the scenes is very upset because he knows she can't win. Obama knows she's just incompetent. The borders are, who never visited the border, saying that all migrants should have health insurance. All migrants, give them health insurance. She cannot navigate the landmines that are ahead of her, ladies and gentlemen. The honeymoon phase is over. Hey, you have to give Trump. He went into CNN. He gave them every condition they wanted, and he did an interview. He goes into MSNBC and did interviews during his last presidency. He's doing it now. He goes into the lion's den everywhere. And half the people at Fox News hate him, so she won't go to Fox News and do a debate. You don't think Donald Trump deserves to get equivalent to CNN would be like Newsmax, and she should go on Newsmax, but no. Fox News would be middle of the road. Half those people there hate Donald Trump, but she doesn't want to do a debate. She's hiding, just like Joe Biden hid in the basement. Even people in the Democrats said, just wait until the debate. She can't debate. She's going to put her foot in her mouth about Israel, Palestine, Ukraine. She's going to say something really stupid. The source said, Obama knows this was going to happen. Joe knew this was going to happen. They had to take her, though. Joe Biden had the delegates. They couldn't get Michelle Obama in. So now she's going to have to answer real questions. But maybe they can keep her in the basement until this is all over. So, RFK, I'll say this. RFK Jr. did seek a cabinet position with the Democrats. He was trying to work with them, and they told him to go pound sand. And see, they're not smart. They should have realized that they really don't have the A-team over there. Not too bright. They should have brought him aboard maybe. But they're so arrogant. Anyone that has anything resembling the old school JFK days, the party of the working man, loving the flag, loving America, putting Americans first, those days seem to be over with the Democratic Party. So, this guy's got a lot of good things to say about the old Democratic Party was, but they don't want to play ball, so he jumped to Trump. That's 5 to 8% in battleground states. Well, on a lighter note, YouTube star who promoted vaccines, masks, and lockdowns dies from myocarditis at 30. Family of Pretty Pastel Please revealed she felt faint during final broadcast and documented severe adverse reactions to COVID mRNA jab. The cause of death of a popular Australian YouTube content creator who once promoted COVID masks, vaccines, and lockdowns was revealed to be a rare heart condition, myocarditis. Seems to be an uptick. I can only touch the corners of this, right? So I don't want to get in trouble. I'm just reporting the facts here off a major study in the CDC. I'll just top line it. Alex also discussed online her extreme reactions and allergic to basic medications, whereby she had endured kidney failure in hospital, and also extreme reactions to COVID mRNA vaccine boosters. The prevalence of myocarditis in young adults following COVID vaccinations was so significant that the CDC acknowledged a casual link on their website, right from the CDC, noting while primary seen in young and adolescent men, women were also affected. They've seen an uptick in cases. So, it's too bad. My heart goes out to her family. A lot of these people are not informed. I would say this though. This is just to flip the script for you. Think about it from this perspective. I talked about this before. Now I worked for Pfizer, Merck, Novartis, and I consult right now in the healthcare industry. And I would think if you're truly woke, and you're going around. I remember back in the days I was at Costco and I was the one that didn't wear the mask and all that good stuff, and people would tell me to put it above my nose. I almost got kicked off a plane. And if you're truly woke, you would be against the vaccine and you would be against masks because you're helping corporations make money and you're helping entrepreneurs and corporatists like me make money. So I worked for Pfizer. I was a rep. Okay. And I've invested in Pfizer stock for 12 years. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Get it? So you're woke, but you're helping corporations make money, and you're helping a guy like me with 5 other investors who sold over 400,000 masks one time and over 800,000 another time to India, even though masks didn't work. And a number one epidemiologist in Oxford, as you know, came out most recently, not recently, a little while back, and number one epidemiologist in the world, Oxford, N95 and masks don't stop COVID. So, and even Dr. Fauci said it. We all know that. And 95% of the people are walking around with a cloth mask anyway. The virus particles go right through the mask. They go through your eyeballs, for Christ's sake. So my point is, if you're truly woke, you'd be against the vaccine. You'd be against masks because you helped 5 companies corner the market and make bundles. You helped the pharmaceutical companies. My stock went up. My portfolio went up 400 grand. Thank you very much. But also, I've never been sick. I've never gotten a cold. I've never gotten the flu. I wonder why. So just something to think about. If you're truly woke, you help the corporations make a lot of money. And you help people like me make money selling masks. So I appreciate your wokeness. But maybe you should look at it through a different lens, right? So even before the vaccine rollout, the FDA was aware that myocarditis was a possible adverse outcome. They did. They accidentally revealed it during a public Zoom meeting in October 2020, which was also mentioned seizures and death. Whoops. So just a quote from Pretty Paysteel, please. She said, vaccinated people are still dying of COVID, so there's no point in getting vaccinated. Okay, dumbass, stop wearing a seatbelt while you drive then. Okay. What a crazy time that was. I can't get into this, but what a crazy time that was. I'm just thinking back right now. I didn't even want to touch on the story. You know, I know some people that have been affected by this big time, especially businesses, a gym owner who fought. And my heart goes out to a lot of people. And my heart goes out to this individual. It's too bad. My heart goes out to her family. Because a lot of people are just not informed. And thank God I have a lot of doctors around me that when this thing happened and the propaganda in China, the Chinese people calling, I made one phone call to Madrid, Spain, to a top doctor in the world. And that's all I had to do. And all I had to do was call my internal colleagues at Pfizer. I know a vaccine specialist. I got the lowdown right away. So it's too bad. My heart goes out to her family. That's all I'm going to say about that. Bad news. So I just wanted to touch on a couple things because I've been really focused on the real estate lately, but I've been leaning with the politics. So, foreign investment in U.S. residential properties plummeted 21% over the last 12 months. That was what was going on here in California, Florida. Florida remained the top destination for foreign buyers despite slowing marketplace. People are still moving at scale from fire-prone areas like, let's say, California, Yorba Linda, other high-end places to heat and flood-prone America. So, people are moving to Arizona. People are moving to heat-prone areas like Nevada. Not as bad as Florida, and then people are moving to Florida. So they're still moving at scale, even though Florida's got the worst insurance in the country and people are getting their ass kicked out there. Got to be very careful out there. It's a shit show. I've learned so much with, the way a home needs to be insured and the wind, the hurricane insurance, this, that, the flood. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a nightmare. You have seniors out there, let's say, that had, $1,800 insurance, quadrupled, went up 200-300%. Even 100% is killing these people. But I know a guy with a $4 million home, he's paying $180,000 in insurance a year. A lot of cake, baby, and it went up. So you think you're going to win in Florida is my point. You're going to move to Texas, and I talked a lot of people out. A property tax bill on a $1 million home in Texas is going to be $25,000 a year. In LA, still it's going to be 9 or 10. So you may think you're going to save on state tax, but they get you on the property tax. And then also you're going to be running your air conditioner longer in Texas compared to, let's say, if you live in the beach cities. One of my homes in LA, I never ran the air. I'm 20 blocks from the beach. So my utility bills, I never ran the air in the summer, and I never had to run the heat in the winter. I would turn the fireplace on just when I get up in the morning for 15 minutes. I had one in the bedroom and one in the family room. So I get up and put the fireplace on, and then that's it. My bill in one of my homes was, the average electric bill was $90 to $130 a month. Nothing. So you go to Texas, you're going to be blowing out that air. I talked to a neighbor that I invested with. My neighbor had a house in Florida. He has to run the air, he said, 12 months a year. So would you rather 95-degree weather with 97% humidity, or move to a place like Nevada, low tax state, or Arizona? Might get up to 100. And Palm Springs is hotter than Nevada, for example, even Arizona. Arizona's hotter than Nevada, but it gets up there. Palm Springs set a record in July, I think, for 124. But there's no humidity in Arizona or Nevada, so it's not as bad. I'm telling you, 104 degrees in Nevada is not bad at all. But you got 95 degrees and you got a shit ton of humidity like Florida, you're going to walk out and you're going to feel like you're going to have to take a shower twice a day, 3 times a day. So you really got to break down the micros when I'm telling people. People look at it holistically and say, I'm moving to Florida. I remember I broke down the numbers for a guy and I did a video moving to Texas over California, and it's actually more expensive when you work out the details. When you work out, oh my God, my salary is a little less than California. Oh my God, my property taxes are a little higher. Oh my God, my utilities are going to be higher than Texas. And you think you're saving. So you really got to break it down. So, according to Redfin, they're in trouble right now. They just laid off a ton of people. Get ready. Scores of people are moving from parts of America endangered by wildfires to areas endangered by flooding and extreme heat. So, keep that in mind. You leave wildfire-prone California and you go into a flood zone, depending how low level you are, you got to be careful. And it's a lot of place. Fort Lauderdale, you got to be careful. I went around with a geologist there, and Miami. Shit, Miami might be underwater in 15 years. But Al Gore said that too about all the polar bears, and the polar bears expand. I said, I won't hold my breath on that one. But you got to be careful. And a safer area would probably be Nevada as well as Arizona. Take it, Nevada. You don't got to worry about tornadoes. You don't got to worry about hurricanes. You really don't got to. You don't got to worry about wildfires. You don't really got to worry about flooding unless you're by the mountains. It does happen occasionally in some certain sectors, but less rare compared to California or Florida. And you don't have to worry about earthquakes in Nevada, pretty much, right? So Florida's got its pluses, but there's a lot of negatives right now. So you need to think about that. So California, high-risk counties saw 63,000 people move in, then out of fire risk counties in 23. Much of that net inflow was people moving to Texas, but the story differs from state to state. California's high-risk areas, more people left than moved in. So that marks a reversal from 2022, indicating that people may be growing more responsive to fire risk in the Golden State. Absolutely. Good luck getting insurance, going through the roof. I remember a guy in Yorba Belinda, my buddy's got a house below this guy. He brought in his own plane when there was a fire there, and he spent 6 figures for them to, protect his home. He said, fuck the insurance, and just did his own thing. So that's hardcore. So the nation's high flood risk counties saw 16,000 more people move in than out. Florida drove a large share of the migration to high flood risk counties, but a smaller share than it did in 2022, indicating that people may be growing more responsive to flood risk in the Sunshine State. So the opposite occurred in low-risk areas. America's low fire risk counties saw a net outflow of 38,401 people in 23, and the low flood risk counties experienced a net outflow of 6,000. So this is based on a Redfin analysis of domestic migration data from the U.S. Census Bureau and climate risk scores from First Street census migration data from 23. So that covers, from July 22 to July 23. And the census migration data is from like 22 to July 21 and July 22. So, it's this ballooning insurance costs, ladies, that are intensifying natural disasters, are driving thousands of Americans out of risky areas. But those people are quickly being replaced by other people for whom climate change isn't the top concern. Remember, Al Gore said the polar bears are dying, everyone's going to be underwater. Obama said everyone's going to be underwater, and Obama bought a house 50 feet from the water. So there's a lot of people with money that say, hey, I'm going to get that house in Malibu or in a fire risk zone. I'll get my own plane if there's a fire, no problem. So it's interesting, what people's political views are and what affects them. So but for a lot of Americans, things like from the analyst and doing my research, cost of living and proximity to family take a precedent over catastrophic risk. That's just is what it is, which can, feel less immediate and more abstract to people. So, but when you look at the cost benefit calculus, I think it seems to be shifting in places like California and Florida, where skyrocketing home insurance, and I've been harping on this, cost and an uptick of high profile disasters have had a tangible impact on residents overall. And it's made national news. So, a lot of people are moving to Texas, which faces a high fire risk. It's considered migration to fire-prone Texas fueled a significant portion of the national net inflow to high-risk areas last year. So, Texas is home to 5 of the 10 highest risk counties that saw the largest net inflows of people last year. 10 of the highest risk counties, man. Riverside County in California was #1 for high risk. So, man, there's a lot of problems there as well. I remember I was in Texas, a flood went through Austin. I was there, it was pretty bad. I almost got swept away at the restaurant. Not literally, but it was right there. We had to back out. So I wasn't a fan of Texas overall. A little small for me, and bed bugs, a little hot. Wasn't my scene. But it's not cheap. Not as cheap as you think. Austin's on par with LA, I'm telling you, especially now, even back when I was there 5+ years ago. So Texas has got its fire risk problems. It's got its flooding problems. Harris County, Houston proper, also faces high flood risk, and the outliers. I did a lot of research on these areas for people that were interested in investing. Houston's a good area to invest in, though, for some multifamily investments, man. So a lot of people are moving to Florida, which faces extreme flood risk. We don't need to go into that. So Florida is home to 6 of the 10 high flood risk counties that saw the largest net inflows of people last year. All 6 are located on the Florida coast. Fort Bend, Texas, though, is #1. So you got to be careful, man. Miami-Dade, very popular right now. Hottest area, entrepreneurs, everyone wants to move to Miami. 38.9% of homes face high flood risk. Insurance premiums have skyrocketed 300%. A lot of foreign investment has gone into Florida and Miami, over $5 billion. It's not Americans, it's foreign investment going in there buying shit up. But Miami, nice hurricane's going to go through there and it's all over, man. So you got to be careful. I had a friend that moved to a high rise, told him not to do it. HOA was $3,000 a month. Thought he was going to rent it out. He's going to lose it. He's going to lose it. So you got to be careful. But a lot of buyers in Miami, they're paying cash. So allows them to forego homeowners insurance. They just don't do it, and they put a little piggy bank on the side. So they don't have to deal with the skyrocketing premiums. It also means they're on their own if a storm hits. But if you're smart, you have a little cash you put away every month or every year for those premiums. You pay cash just in case you get wiped out. So, and now California, we're in the middle of a housing insurance crisis. Many homeowners in California in fire-prone areas, high-risk areas, have seen their prices skyrocket. Even in some low-risk areas, I will tell you this: in low-risk, I have a house in a low-risk area. I was able to negotiate and work hard and hold my price. I got a quote that was a little lower, and they matched it. So, because I've been loyal in this particular home for 7 years, before COVID when I bought it, and I've always paid in full, and they took care of me, and I appreciate that. But you can always negotiate, is what I'm telling you. So, prospective home buyers, what I'm seeing, and investors are asking a lot more questions about natural disasters, insurance costs when they do their setup packages for properties. And you got to price that in. And those people are on top of it. And if you're on top of it as a broker, an investor yourself, you're going to be candid with your partners, investors, or your client and price that in, because that's what I'm doing, man. You don't want to lowball that shit and then have a client be surprised, or your business partners, or yourself, and you're not going to turn out too good and build a good reputation. So if you're looking to buy a home in Florida, you should know that you can't be close to the water without being in a flood zone. And if you're within 3 miles of the coastline, Mother Nature's going to pay you a visit, baby, sooner than later. And that's the price you pay for living in. If you think that's paradise, I'm not a fan of Florida overall. I like to visit though and stay in a nice hotel, Fontainebleau, all day long, man, all day long. So people are leaving fire-prone California at scale. Like I said, some people don't care, and they deal with it. Ventura County is #1 in the fire-prone area. So it's high risk, man. Allstate California, 6th largest insurer, is seeking to raise homeowner insurance costs by 34% on average. That would impact 350,000 people, in excess of 30% hike. So unbelievable. Unbelievable. So it's just a shit show, man. You can't win. But the key takeaway with this stuff is you got to look at the micro and really break it down. And I just remember during COVID, people were at a free-for-all. And half the people that moved to Texas, I told them, I said, don't sell your home in LA. Don't sell your home. One person sold outside Walnut Creek. Beautiful house. I said, rent it out. Keep it. Because I always tell people, if you've never been to Texas, you've never been to Nevada, you've never been to Montana, you never been to Wyoming, live there for a minimum of 6 months. Or if you've gone there on vacation, more than half the people that bought in Texas wanted to move back to California, and they were priced out. One guy was extremely wealthy, and he said, fuck it, and he ponied up back in California, in Redondo Beach. But people just, you don't buy this shit with emotion. You got to be analytical. You gotta really think about it. And a lot of people wanted to come back. And I'm a buy and hold person. Early on, I was doing a lot of flips with a mentor, and we've done a lot and have the documentation. And I thank him to this day. I learned a lot. We had a falling out, a couple people. It's crazy what happens with politics. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not that way. I have friends, real friends that are liberals, Democrats, whatever, Republicans, libertarians, or atheists, what have you. I have all walks. I'm a pretty easygoing guy. I just like to have good conversations. And he taught me a lot, but he always taught me, we did the flips then because we saw the writing on the wall. But after 2008, and then 2012, 13, buy and hold. You buy and hold. Buy and hold, pull some cash out, buy another property, keep paying it down, have the renter pay. Buy and hold, man. So, but I think Miami's interesting, but you just got to be careful. If it's a low flood zone, I know the building is there, and you got the money. A lot of ballers are going in, covering their own insurance costs, paying cash. Like I said, foreign investment. You got cash, it's worth a shot. If you can afford to take the high risk, I would invest in Miami. But if you're watching your money and you can't take that kind of a risk, there's other places that are better, in my opinion, for multifamily or for a second home. But if you can take a risk, there's some good upside potential there. It's just the natural disaster zones make me very nervous. That's all. So I'm a little rusty. I've been super busy and a lot on my mind. But I'm getting back into the groove. I'm going to find it again. So as I always say, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. It's not going to happen overnight. This is Tim McClone, the Mac Oligarchy podcast. Till next time, be nice to people and give people a chance. Don't be so quick to anger and try to hold that relationship. But challenge people. Absolutely, 100%. Take care.